Sometimes the best way to success is to copy it. Today on our Finding Better podcast, I am with the amazing and beautiful Kim Sorrelle, and we're exploring what love is. And this time we're talking about her experiences in Venezuela and her incredible face-to-face meeting with President Hugo Chavez, where she learned that love is not proud. And you know what? Sometimes the opposite of pride is humility. And one thing I know is that humility is born of strength. I mean, think about the most humble person you know, right? So please share this and subscribe to Finding Better for lots more ways to learn. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And today by the way, a couple of quick reminders. My book, second edition, it's an amazing book about love, about heroism, just about the Japanese American concentration camps during World War II, and folks that not broke out of those camps, but volunteered out of those camps to fight for the United States Army, who put them into the camps to begin with and came out as amazing American heroes. It's an incredible true story of love, of patriotism, of resilience, and it's not my story. I just wrote it. So if you guys want to take a look at it, it is free on my website at johnsuzuki.com. Please go check it out, share it with other people. The whole mission of it is just to make sure that their experiences are never forgotten and to inspire folks about what can happen in life when you're in as tough a circumstance as being behind barbed wire. So anyway, with that, we are going to go right into our show today. I've got Kim Sorrelle back, and I am thrilled. I am thrilled. As you folks know, she and I have done four podcast episodes together because we are talking about her book. And her book is called Love Is. And I might have just sold it a little bit short. We're not just talking about her book, we're talking about life. Because, I'll tell you, when I talk to people and they ask me, John, what is it about what you're doing that we should know about? And I tell them, you know what? It's all about love. It's all about love. It's all about helping people understand other people's experiences because, sometimes the best way to success is to copy it, right? And so we share our experiences. And this is probably, and in fact, I will tell you, this is the most powerful book I have read so far. And just Kim, I just want to kind of summarize a little bit. This is about learning from the Bible, but this is not a religious episode, okay? But I just want to read this because you've heard this, and this is what this book is all about. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. We've heard this, right? It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Now, if you can encapsulate all of that into life, you will be in a really, really great place. And Kim's book is about those things and about each one of them speaking in detail. And today we're talking about love is not proud. Kim, welcome back to Finding Better. Thank you for joining me.
John, it is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And before we get into it, I just have to say, yes, your book is awesome and you're offering it for free on your website. That's amazing. People can also go buy it, but it's so good. And people should have it on their bookshelves. It is such a great read.
Well, thank you, Kim. Thank you. Yeah. And so it's all a labor of love, and I think that's one of the connections that tie us together, you and me, is that we're doing this out of love. I wrote my book out of love and out of a promise that I made. And you wrote your book to help people understand how to live with more love and what love means. And so let's talk about love is not proud, because we're all proud. I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of my sometimes I'm proud of me about I'm proud of my own accomplishments. And so what does that mean? Love is not proud.
Yeah, well, I agree. I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of my
Right.
grandkids. I'm, proud of their accomplishments, the things that they've done, things that I've done, proud of other people for the things that they've done, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. But that kind of proud is so different than love that is not proud.
Okay.
Anytime you are elevating yourself above other people, anytime you are stopping other people from getting help because you feel like embarrassed, like, why can't I just do it myself? Or I can just do it myself. I don't need anybody to help, or I can just do it myself. I don't need you. I don't need your advice. I don't need you to be part of it.
Because I'm better than
And
them. I,
I'm better
yeah.
than them.
Hmm.
Right, right. And nobody's better than them. Nobody's better
Right.
than them. And there should be no shame in asking for help and being humble enough to accept it and
Right.
asking for advice and be humble enough to hear it and listening to somebody even with a different view than yours and being humble in that moment instead of love that is not proud, that the wrong kind of pride, thinking I am right, everything I know is right, I everything I know is true, I'm the king of all that is right in the world.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, yeah, which love does not do. Love is humble
Right.
enough to go, maybe I have some stuff to learn. That's okay.
Big time. Big time. And I want to talk about, the opposite of pride being humility, right?
Mhm.
And but tell us now your story in your journey in learning this, right? Took you to Venezuela. It took you to Caracas of all places. And this was back in 1999. And there was a huge flood that happened that killed, what, 30,000 people?
Mhm.
And I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine rain so heavy that mountains get washed away and that many people get lost. And I'm sure thousands and thousands and thousands of them were never found, right?
Oh, right.
And
Absolutely.
and so
Yeah.
so so your journey took you there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd go and see what I could do to help if there was anything that I could do to help. I was working with an organization that's one of the things I did for them is go where there was a natural disaster or somewhere where people needed help, I guess. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, the flooding was horrible because people build their houses. There's so many houses that are built on the riverbanks and the banks go up high. And in that height, it's almost like stacked houses, on a slope, but they're almost stacked one on top of the other. So when the bottom ones went, the ones on top of them
Oh
went. And
no.
yeah, and I heard stories about kids being swept out of their beds and people just water is powerful and just being swept away without anything that they could do. Like they can't just grab onto something because they're being swept away and it happened
Everything everything to grab onto is being swept away too, right?
exactly. And it happened
Wow.
in the night too. So it's
Yeah, in the
dark
dark of the
and
night. Oh,
yeah.
no warning.
Right. So yes, it's huge, and it's a huge thing a lot of people don't know about because Hugo Chavez was in leadership at that time, and we'll kind of get
Uh-huh.
into that. But so I went there and started looking, what can I do to help? And I went to this. It was a big auditorium that they were using for refugees,
Uh-huh.
and every day they would come with these lists of people is anybody here by this name? Do you know anybody that is in this name? Here's this other refugee center. These are the people in the refugee center. And every day, soon as everything was posted, everybody would run out there and look for their loved ones, look for their friends.
And
Because,
the list showed not only people who were in refugee centers and found, but also people who were found who had passed away, right?
right, Right.
and
Yeah.
bodies that were found. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh my, yeah. So it was so sad. So this one place I went to, and it was wall to wall people, wall to wall little areas on the floor, basically. Some mattresses, some people had mattresses to sleep on. Some people had a pile of clothes to sleep on. Some people had absolutely nothing, but had like their little area on the floor, no bigger than the size of a twin mattress.
And these people
And
had nothing but
they
what
had
they had
nothing.
on them,
They
right?
they
Because
lost
everything got washed
everything.
away.
Right.
Yeah.
They lost everything. And that to
Wow.
be reclaimed, right? Like you can have a house fire, but you might be able to dig through and get some pictures.
Right,
Or you
right,
might be able to
right.
dig through
It's
and get your
lost.
jewelry, something, right?
Yeah.
But everything's lost and
Yeah.
never to be found.
Yeah,
And
this reminds me of the tsunami in Japan.
mhm,
I mean, they couldn't even find where their houses were because
right.
nothing was there. And just terrible. So anyway, lest I digress. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
everything's gone.
So I met the doctor. There was one doctor that was taking care of these thousands, I don't know how many people. And I met him and said, "Hey, is there anything you need? Is there something you need help with?" And he's like, "Oh my word, they had no medicine." He's one doctor, all these people, and as you can imagine, tight quarters. So if one person gets sick, everybody else gets sick, and then it
Oh
spreads to more
no.
people and more people. And he had no medicine. He didn't even have band-aids. He had like nothing to try to treat this mass of people. And some people were hurt getting swept away. Some people were, you
Sure.
know, whatever,
Oh
physically
yeah.
hurt. And so he just had this mountain to deal with. And I thought, well, shoot, I can get you medicine. That's easy. That's easy to do. I can send down stuff. He gave me a list of what he wanted. But in working in countries like Venezuela, I know not to trust the people at the docks. I know that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
Right. Too
right.
often things just get stolen. You
They
send stuff
disappear.
in, never
Yeah.
to see it again. And I thought, man, if I'm going to raise money and spend tens of thousands of dollars getting medicine and getting containers on ships to bring it down here, I want to know that it's going to get to this doctor. I
Right.
need to know that. So I went to the docks and I was talked to a guy and he wasn't the guy. And I was like, who's your boss? And then the next guy, who do you work for? Who's your boss? Who's your boss? I went as high as I could at the
And
dock,
remember, and you're in Venezuela. I mean,
right?
you you're do you speak Spanish?
No, no. Fortunately, I met this woman,
That's
Mary. She was a
amazing.
doll. And so she went with me and translated. And
Okay.
she was great. So that was nice. But I was also a woman in a male dominated culture with only men working at the in customs. There were only men.
Right.
There were no women there. Now I saw not one woman. And so here I am, but I'm like, yes, I
Wow.
can do this. I'll find the right guy and he'll say yes and we'll be okay. I'll trust him, we'll be okay. Well, I never got that reassurance. I heard them say, well, yeah, we don't do that. We don't take stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know better than that.
Yeah.
I don't
Uh-huh.
believe you. And so a couple of days, of doing this and trying so hard to be assured that things were going to happen, I just thought, forget it. I'm just going to go to the president. And and so I did.
Okay, the president. When you say
The
the
president.
president, clarify what you mean by the president.
Yeah, Hugo Chavez.
The
I
president
decided
of Venezuela. You just decided,
right.
yeah, I'm gonna go talk to this man. That is so awesome. Okay, so what what
Well,
did you
it was
do?
kind of funny. I had my youngest was with me at the time. I think he was 14 at the time, and so he was with me. And then this Mary who was translating for me, and I found this taxi driver who was my driver for the few days that I was there, and got to know him. Great guy, and all of it, whatever. But they thought I was absolutely insane when I said drive to the palace, drive to the presidential
I
palace.
can't even imagine why they'd think you were insane. But go ahead.
They were like, no, no, we can't do that. I'm like, no, this is what we're gonna do. Just go, just go. So we pull up to the gate because, of course, there's gatekeepers, right? You don't just drive
I
in.
would imagine. Yeah. If you want to see the president of the country. Yeah.
Right, right. And they have big guns, lots of gatekeepers with lots of big guns. So my
Wow.
poor taxi driver was scared to death. And Mary's thinking it's a bad idea. And I said, Mary, just tell them that I am Kim Sorrelle and I'm here to see the president. So she, out the window to the guard, said, she's Kim Sorrelle and she's here to see the president. And he got on the phone, made some phone call, in a minute or so, waved us through. I went, oh, well, there we go. That's kind of cool. Okay, one step. And then we went.
You might have been driving into your execution, but that's okay.
Could be. That could have been, but that's okay. I heard heaven's a cool place. But so we drive in and they directed us to where his office is in this big building. And we walk through the door. There's a small reception area. And so I just walked right up to the guy sitting behind the desk. And I said, I am Kim Sorrelle and I'm here to see the president. And he just kind of leaned back, grabbed the phone, dialed, and then pointed at the stairs. There were stairs right there. And so pointed at the stairs, indicating we should go upstairs. So we did. We went upstairs. And right at the top of the stairs, there was a press conference going on. So there were lots of cameras and press people, whoever, and they're interviewing the president because that's who they're there to interview. That's who I'm there to see. So I thought, okay, whatever. Well, then they escorted us into this office. So we went, we sat, it was a nice office, and we sat at this round table. And a few minutes later, two guys came in. And one happened to be the Minister of Defense, and the other one was President Hugo Chavez. And so they came and they sat at the table. And I said, I know you're a busy man. I'm not going to keep you, but this is the situation. So do you have any idea? Do you even know that there are thousands of people staying in refugee centers with no medical care, very little food, very little anything? Are you aware? And he's like, well, I haven't really seen, he kind of fumbled with his words and turned to the Minister of Defense like, you're supposed to know these things, or I don't know, whatever. But I told him about the doctor I met and the place. And I said, and I can help. I can bring in medicine, the things that he's requested, the things that he needs. I can do that for this place. But I need to absolutely know that when they arrive, that they will go exactly to where they're supposed to be and nothing taken, nothing harmed, and everything right away. As soon as they arrive, which that's a problem, getting things out of customs, right? And getting it right to the place. And he looked at me and told me that I have his word that he would make sure that happened. And I went, well, okay, I'm going to trust you. And I even told him, I said, I need to just trust your word. You need to be a man of your word. I need to know that you're a man of integrity and a man of your word.
You're telling the president of Venezuela, I don't trust you. You need to convince me.
That's right.
Trust you.
That's right. That's right. And he said, I am a man of my word. And so I went, okay, well, great. That's great. That's great. And so, yeah, it was interesting because they, like every Latin American pro baseball player playing in the United States showed up that week, and they had a softball game, and it was the next day. And I happened to meet people, the way you meet people. And so I was given tickets for my son and I to the softball game. And
wait, this is a softball game with major United States Major League Baseball players who flew down to Venezuela to play in this game. Why?
Yeah. To raise awareness, raise some money,
flood.
Just anything that they could do to do something, because this catastrophe happened, right, and not much was being done about it. And everybody was there. And the only player, they told me the only player that didn't come was Sammy Sosa. Isn't that funny?
But so all Sammy the other Sosa, ones did.
And it was at
My
kind of the height
goodness.
of his fame at that moment before, the chips fell. But everybody, and I don't watch a lot of baseball, I have to
So
admit,
yeah,
but
so let me just give a perspective for those
yeah,
baseball fans out there. Pedro Martinez, Roberto Alomar, Manny Ramirez, guys like that. I mean, these
yes,
guys are beyond famous in Major League Baseball, and they were playing softball where you were.
they were playing softball.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and we're
Unbelievable.
right there, and we're invited into the dugout, and I'm thinking, man, I know so many baseball fans that would kill to be in my position right now. As I'm being
No
introduced to
kidding.
people thinking, I'm sure you're so
Wow.
good, but I don't know who you
Yeah.
are. But
It's like
it was
Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or
right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like the guy
who
putting
are
it
you?
on was huge. He was a shortstop, I think, for Cleveland, and he was gigantic. And they were saying, yeah, he's won so many Golden Gloves. And I'm like, guy, he's a boxer too. I, I didn't know that they could do both. That's how embarrassingly
Okay.
naive I was.
Oh, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there listening who are just absolutely shaking their head. And then there's other people like me who are just totally cracking up.
Well,
Okay.
so yes, and so then the president actually pitched the first couple innings, and he pitched for both sides the first couple innings, and it was just a game and fun to raise awareness,
That's
raise
amazing.
money, do what they could, right? So these guys on their own ticket, on their own dime, came down to help with this, and just were banded together, split up into two teams, and played against each other, and had a blast. And I had a blast watching it. It was so fun.
That's
And
wonderful.
we're sitting there, and then I heard my name over the loudspeaker, and it was the president saying that he met me. They like all eyes then kind of were on me for where I was, and I'm thinking what? And he said he was saying that he met me and that I'm bringing this aid and that he's going to make sure that it gets exactly where it needs to go. And I was
Wow.
like, well, if he wasn't a man of his word before, he
Yeah.
better be now
Yeah.
because now
Yeah.
he's
He's got
told
the whole
thousands of
country. Yeah.
people. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so kind of a interesting situation, but he did exactly what he said he was going to do. I sent down the containers. The containers went right exactly where they needed to go. He even paid for the transportation to go from the docks to the refugee center. So that didn't cost me anything. He took care of everything once it landed on the ground. Or I'm sure not him personally, but made sure that it was taken care of, which was so great. And I was so happy about it. But something that was kind of interesting when I was down there, there were a couple other organizations that showed up, and wanted to help. And there was one a lot bigger than my organization, but I knew a couple people that worked there. And my attitude always is, man, the more we can work together, the more we can do. Right.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so I went to them and I said, hey, I'm working on this. I know what you guys are working on. Have you been here? Have you been there? And I'd love to work together. And they kind of, hey, little girl, is how it felt. We're the big boys here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
step aside and we'll get the work done. And which is a little prideful, I would
A little
say,
bit. A little
which
bit.
love is not.
Yep.
But
Yep.
a year later, I got a phone call from that organization, from a person in that organization, asking if they could have my contact that I used in Venezuela because their stuff was still sitting on the dock a year
A
later.
year later.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So did you say, yeah, go talk to Hugo Chavez?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that's what I did. I mean, you can give it a shot.
Go
I
talk to
said
my
he
buddy
didn't
Hugo.
he didn't give me a cell phone number or anything. I
Yeah.
don't have direct contact all the time. Like I'm not being invited over for dinner or anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So right. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, your experience is amazing. It reminds me of something my dad told me when I was a kid. He was part of the Air Force and worked in the United States Air Force. And he says, John, you know what? And this was pre 9/11. I mean, the world changed after that happened. But he says, you know what, John? Wherever you are, in any organization or any facility, here's what you do if you want to get someplace. I said, what's that, Dad? He says, act like you own it. He says,
Mhm.
you act like you own it, you can go anywhere.
It's so true.
And
It's so
right, and
true.
with you, I mean, the words, I'm Kim Sorrelle and I'm here to see the president. I'm like, those,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. And everybody was like, okay, great. She's here to see the president. Here's the
Right.
president. Wow. And yeah, so going back to love is not proud.
Hmm.
There was no there you didn't have a prideful bone in your body as you're going through this whole thing. You're just trying to help.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Just trying to help. And and pride doesn't mean, or humility, I guess, doesn't mean that you're just a wimp of a person and you don't
right,
try to get things
right.
done or whatever. I mean, that's not what it is. In fact, I think when you have humility, you're actually stronger. There's
You
actually
know,
more strength than that, right?
absolutely. I often tell people, and I've told my kids this forever, that pride and arrogance are actually born of weakness, where humility is born of strength.
Mm,
And I'll tell you, the most humble people I know are some of the strongest people I know. It's really amazing. And I wanted to take an excerpt out of your book, and I want to read this because it kind of says everything. And forgive me, folks, for not looking at you, but I want to make sure I get this right. And this is part of Kim's book. And so she says, humility is the opposite of pride. It opens ears well before mouths. Opens ears well before mouths. We got two ears, one mouth, live that way. People listen to a humble heart, a humble delivery. Humble isn't loud or accusatory. Humble is gentle, and humble listens. Love that is not proud accepts help, letting other people love back. Humble love cares more about loving others and couldn't care less about what other people might think. Such love does not care about looking weak, not knowing everything, or losing. It listens with ears of love rather than formulating an answer before the talker finishes talking. How much is wrapped into that, right? I mean, it's all of us, me included. As I'm talking to people, I'm formulating what I'm going to say next, right? Instead of just listening and being present. And it really is amazing. And humility it really is born of strength.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, and John, an interesting thing that happened in Venezuela after
Uh-huh.
that was that Hugo ended up kind of kicking out all the other countries that were there to help, or organizations that were there to help, because it was hurting his pride that he wasn't just taking care of the country by on his own. Like, we're Venezuelan, we can do this ourselves. We don't need any help from anybody. And it didn't mean that all of a sudden they had people jump into the refugee centers and help. It just meant that instead of his pride being hurt by having other people there to help, he kicked him out. That, but it didn't then translate into him doing something good about it. He just
Oh,
didn't want people there. Yeah.
made things worse.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
his pride made things worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in so many ways, and in his
Wow.
governing, his pride made things worse. Right.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, what an incredible experience. What I mean, holy smoke, right? And I love Kim how you have taken so much time to learn about each one of these elements of love. And love is not proud. Because we all learn from this. And hopefully if we all get one good idea out of this, right? Take it, run with it. And yeah, look for that humility. Look for that humility. Because you know what? What I found is that when I say to myself, you know what, I don't care what people think. I honestly don't. I'm at a point in even when I was a kid, I loved to be a clown. I just did. And I didn't care, I didn't care what I lived to make people laugh, actually. And so, life can be so much easier if you really don't care what other people think and you're doing things out of love. And yeah, it's really important. It's really important. Kim, we're gonna think about this, folks. Do you have anything else you wanted to share with regards to this chapter of pride?
Yeah, I would just say this one thing, I guess, that is coming into my heart and mind right now is there are times when uh, people offer help, and we say no, 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 we don't need any help. We don't need any help. Maybe if you're moving and somebody offers to help, you go yes,
Yeah,
that
right.
help I'll take. But if there's somebody ill in the family or somebody hurting or something that somebody can do for you but you want to refuse the help because you're strong, you can do it alone, which really comes down to pride. That really comes down to pride. When my husband was ill, when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and lived for 6 weeks after the diagnosis,
Oh,
and people came out of the woodwork, right? What can we do? Can we help? Can we help? And so people brought meals. Like I didn't turn it away because there is something too about being on the giving end of
right,
the help, right? So on the
right.
receiving end, it makes you more humble, which is always good. But on the giving end, it's doing something for those people. And so
Yeah,
if you are always refusing help, that's not good. And so we only needed so much food. And so people were
yeah.
bringing meals and that was wonderful. But I ended up organizing a day when anybody who wanted to come came, and we fixed up my house, painted, trim, fixed anything that needed to be fixed. Everybody came, people came with tools, people came with whatever, and just did things that repairs that hadn't been done or whatever needed to be done. And it was such a special day. It was such an incredible, everybody there was so happy to be there and so thrilled to be helping. And that's humbling, right?
Yeah,
That's humbling for people to come into your home and see that you haven't been working on the woodwork, or whatever it is.
right.
But it was so incredible, though, the whole feeling in the house. So I guess my encouragement is when people say, "Do you need help?" It's good. It's good for both of you to say yes.
Absolutely. And it's being on the receiving end, my family likes to give a lot, right? And we have a hard time receiving. But what we've learned is that when you receive and you accept the gifts of others and the generosity of others and the time of others, you're giving them the gift of being charitable to you. And it goes both ways. It goes both ways, being a gracious giver and being a gracious receiver. And one other example that you're talking about of accepting help that I see all the time is in the professional world, right? Where somebody is trying to solve a problem or trying to work through a project, and you'll ask them if they need help or if I can help them, and they will say no, because they want it to be their project. They want to be able to be given credit for it. They want to be able to shout from the rooftops, look at me, look what I did. That's pride.
Mhm.
That's pride. But when you accept help from others, you're building a team. You're building a team, and you're building that camaraderie, and you're building that momentum um, that you alone can't do yourself. So um, Um, uh, thank you for sharing that part of accepting accepting the giving of others,
Mhm.
right? I think
Mhm.
that's really important too. Kim, you're amazing. You're amazing. Folks, I have Kim. Kim is the only person I have every month coming and joining me on this Finding Better podcast because we're going over a chapter every single month. And next month, we're going to talk about love does not dishonor others. Okay. I have a feeling that we may be talking a little bit about social media and technology and all kinds of funny things that are happening today. And live life, keep it simple. All right. And in this case, don't be so proud. It's okay to be proud when it's okay to be proud. But when you're diminishing others, it's not. Kim, thank you again for joining me. I love you. God bless you. You're amazing. You are amazing. And again, folks, this is the book, Love Is. And Kim, is it kimsorrelle.com?
Yep. KimSorrelle.com. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sorrelle is spelled Sorrelle. And she's the only Kim Sorrelle out there. So
Yep.
kimsorrelle.com. You can learn more about her. Okay. Okay, Kim. Thanks again. Folks, I love you. God bless you. Please share this. Please share this because this is the kind of stuff that can change folks' lives for the better. Okay. We'll see you next time. Bye.